Welcome back to the Blood Bear channel. This video is the review of the second book in the Bloodsworn trilogy by John Gwynne. Hunger of the Gods here. I finished it not too long ago, and so we'll be doing this. There are going to be spoilers later this video. Non-spoiler, I guess, review. I don't know how I would do non-spoiler review, really. I thought it was great. That's pretty much all I can say. There's some interesting developments with the characters in this one. Anyways, with that being said, why don't we just go ahead and jump into the characters. So, for the characters, I gave a score of 8 out of 10. I do want to preface this, this score is going to be lower than the previous one, but that's not because I enjoyed it less, really. It's more of, I'm going to try to be a bit harsher in my judgments. Because, I enjoyed it quite a bit, but it's not really, I wouldn't say it's the best of the fantasy books, or the best book out there. It's very good, and I would recommend it. I don't know what I'm saying, really, but I'm just trying to be more, I guess, because if I'm not harsher, then everything is going to end up being a 4.5, and that's not really what you want. You want the 4.5s and above to be very amazing books, very special and kind of rare. Not every book that I read, right? So that's why I'm trying to be a bit harsher with my ratings here. Anyways, in this second book, we gain 2 more character perspectives, and for the characters section, I really only talk about the characters in that are readable perspectives. So, yeah. Anyways, with that being said, I guess first up is Orca. We know that she's the mother of Brecca, who was taken by the Dragonborn / Raven Feeders, because they're one and the same there. And her main quest is to locate and find her son. Same as the last book. And then she'll do this by any means necessary. And this, we pick up right where we left off, so right after the Grimholt stuff, and she met up with the Bloodsworn. So we pick up right after that. And she kind of, at that point in time, has no leads anymore, since she doesn't know where Drecker went, and Brecca wasn't at the Grimholt, so she's kind of out of leads, But anyways, in this book, it's mainly just, she kind of just travels around. The Bloodsworn will led her to the cave where they fought one of the Dragonborn, and Skulk. I don't know how you pronounce his name, but the Galderman that the Bloodsworn had with them. In the previous book, there was that betrayal there. In Hunger of the Gods, it's mainly, so the Bloodsworn lead her there, and then that's where she's able to pick up the trail, because one of the Dragonborn, a squad of the Raven Feeders went there to go pick up that segment of their regiment, I guess, and then to lead them to Nastradir, I think it's called. It's Leek Rifa's stronghold, basically. So yeah, and so most of the book is her going after her son again, right? It's a continuation of that, and then pretty much that's pretty much the whole thing. She meets with Ulfrir, which we'll talk about when we get to Elvar. So yeah, and then but she doesn't stay with Ulfrir. She still goes off to go find Brekka. And at the end of the book, some of the Leaf is still with her, and then three of the Bloodsworn go with her as well. So she's got her own little group, and they do manage to track down Ligrifa and are able to cause a distraction in that warband, and they do end up saving Brekka, kind of, because they get him out of there. And his friend, Brekka's friend, which was the kid that was taken. I think his name was Harak or something, or Harak. I don't know how you pronounce really his name. Yeah, he was also taken. He was the one that went missing in the beginning of the first book, The Shadow of the Gods. Anyways, and he's all for being with the Raven Feeders in Lake Rifa now. So, needless to say, when all the kids get freed and are trying to escape, he's the one that calls back the attention of Bior and the other guards, causing there to be a big old fight, pretty much, and having attention drawn. And then Orca kind of escapes for a little bit. She gets captured, I think technically twice, because she gets caught beforehand, and then Spurt, the little Vaesen guy, that's kind of like a scorpion with a human face. I don't know exactly how it's different insects or something combined with a scorpion, and he has a melting human face. I don't know how to really describe that. But he poisons one of the gods and helps, not one of the gods, one of the guards, and helps free Orca and Brekka there. So then they're able to escape, and then for a little while, but then Orca gets kind of grazed by, I think, one of the fangs of one of the frost spiders, so she starts kind of freezing slowly until she can't really run anymore. So she has Brekka go and continue on without her, and that's kind of where her story ends in book 2. There is she gets captured and or killed. It's not explicitly mentioned. I think she's going to get captured because mainly because Radha can feel that she's now met Ulfrir, and he's going to want that information of where Ulfrir is. So that's why I think she's probably going to be kept alive. So yeah. And she's obviously probably not going to tell him any of that information, because she doesn't know where Ulfrir will be, because Elvar told Orca where... Because Elvar asked Orca to get a message to the Bloodsworn, which she is doing by these giant ravens who were the messengers of Snaka, the father of the old god, the dead gods. He's basically like Jormungandr, so the world serpent. But he's obviously long since been dead. And anyways, the message is going to be delivered by those giant ravens and Vesli, which is like a tin something. I don't know how to describe. They're like giant rodents. They're kind of like humanoid bats in a way, with no hair. And they have 2 rows of teeth. They have a sharp row of teeth to get through flesh, I guess. And then they have flat teeth to kind of crunch and mash the teeth that they pull out of people and eat. But yeah, anyways, that's her story. Next up, I guess we'll talk about is Varg. Varg is basically with the Bloodsworn the entire time, which is kind of not really a shocker. And the Bloodsworn's main mission is to get back Vol and kind of get some revenge against Skulk there for his killing, his betrayal, and the murder of what's his name? He was kind of important, and I don't remember his name. I know it starts with a T, but oh well, it's not. I didn't write it down. Anyway, whatever. I'm sure if y'all have read the book, you know who I'm talking about. Anyways, so Vol gets taken by Skulk back to Darl, all the way back to Darl, and then the Bloodsworn are following him, tracking him, except for some of them, because a group of them went to guide Orca to the cave that they were at, Rada's chamber, and then they also went to fetch the ship of the Bloodsworn. I know this is kind of just like a recap of it, because I kind of, that's what these videos are, I guess, is like I kind of recap what the book is, and then I just give my score. I guess it's fine. Anyways, before the Bloodsworn are able to actually execute their plan, because they planned on attacking the Galder Tower in Darl at night, which is where Vol was being held by Skulk. So before that happens, Yaromir, the Prince of Iskadan, one of the princes of Iskadan, and is the half-brother of Sulik? I'm never going to pronounce these names right, by the way, and that's just something I'm going to have to be okay with. Yeah, so they're half-brothers. Sulik is obviously tainted because he's part of the Bloodsworn, and I don't think Yaromir is. Anyways, he basically raids the Galder Tower first, takes Vol because he knows that Vol was part of the Bloodsworn, and he wants to put Sulik on trial or something. Or like he wants him executed for some reason. I'm not exactly sure why yet. Because at the end of the book we get some interesting kind of reveal about the other relatives of Sulik that are tainted as well. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. Anyways, Yaromir gets Vol, then flees back to Iskadan, and before the Bloodsworn can do anything, they make another deal with Queen Helga to let her son go, in return for their safe passage out, and they deal to kill Yaromir because they're a common enemy, right? So yeah, and then they go after Yaromir, but before they leave Darl, Varg went to they stopped at a town on their way, and that's where Varg met a thrall that he recognized was sold along with Varg's sister. I used to pronounce it Froya, but I now know, because there's like a pronunciation guide in here, that the O's with like the slashes in them are supposed to be pronounced as like in the IR sound of bird, so it's like Froya. I don't know. I'm gonna fail a lot. Okay. Anyways, then he tracks down the person that bought her originally so that slave trader, and then interrogates him in Darl to learn that a man named Brack Troll's Slayer, I think, is the one who bought her, basically, and we do get to see him a little bit in this book. He's not a very nice guy. One of the children that have been traveling with him, that Einar Half-Troll has been pretty much taken care of, eventually tells them that he is one of the Raven feeders and stuff, and we see through Bior's perspective, Brack basically is very mean, and he captures Brekka because Brekka tried to flee, and then as punishment he beats him, and then like whenever Brekka tries to stand up for himself, he like cuts like a scar across his like under his eye as a reminder or something. So anyways, he's not a very nice guy. So yeah, anyways, then they go to the Bloodsworn, go all the way over to Iskadan, and follow Yaramir until eventually they are able to face him, and they get into big confrontation. Bloodsworn obviously win because they're the main characters. Otherwise, why else would the name of the series would be called the Bloodsworn, right? I mean, obviously not all of them are going to live, but our main characters probably will. Meaning Varg and Orca and Elvar and Bior, they'll probably live. So we also see that they sewed shut Vol's mouth because obviously Sather witches have to be able to chant their magic, right? To be able to use that. So yeah, anyways, they fight. Eventually they catch up, free Vol, and then kill Yaramir. But Yaramir kind of like, he's like kind of the last one to die because he keeps trying to worm his way out, and that's where they are led to kind of this hidden chamber where apparently all of Sulik's siblings are being held prisoner, and there's some sort of plan, either some sort of planned invasion or an alliance with Snakovic and Jarl Stor. So I don't. We'll probably learn more about that later. So in the next book, which I also have here. Wait a second, I didn't take it out, but it's in my bookshelf. See, got it right here. The last one. Last one in the trilogy, the Fury of the Gods, and I got the nice one too. So that'll be nice to read. Although I won't be reading it for a while because that's not true. Well, it might be. Depends on how long it takes me to get through the book I'm currently reading, which is The Devils. Anyways, after that tangent, I guess. So yeah, not sure what that plan is, but I think that's pretty much all we know about, and that's kind of where Varg's story ends off there. So gave him like kind of a connection to the actual Raven Feeders, other than just being part of the Bloodsworn, which is kind of what it was. So now he's more of a personal investment into not liking them and wanting to stop them. Anyways, next character, Elvar. I realized that this is already like a 20-minute video, and I've only talked about the characters. That's crazy. Elvar, in this book, she kind of like steps up as for the role of leader of the Battlegrim, and she very much becomes a slaver as well. I say that mainly because of how she treats Skuld and Ulfrir sometimes. I'm hoping. I mean, she does. She literally mentions that she doesn't view Uspa. I don't know if you pronounce her name either. She doesn't view her as a slave, but that obviously does not apply to Skuld and Ulfrir, because whenever Ulfrir wouldn't listen to her one time, she literally threatened to rip out one of Skuld's eyes. So, and it was a scene for sure, and even Uspa's like trying to basically talk her into this, being like, it's like, you say it's the way of the world about like, but it doesn't have to be. If everybody just chose to be peaceful people, then we could be that, or they just minded their own business, you know, and didn't try to get revenge all the time. You know, the classic saying, an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind, right? I mean, not saying that there doesn't need to be justice, but you can let that be up to the court and public opinion, or eventually, you know, God, right? But anyways, maybe not these gods in these books, because some of them kind of seem like dicks, not gonna lie. Especially Rada. Like, I do not trust that guy at all. He seems like a total sleazeball. Anyways, I do hope that she becomes, that she actually builds that respect and trust with the tainted, and starts treating them like they're actual people, because they are. They were just born with that tainted blood, you know. But they're still people. And then, yeah, she has to deal with the responsibility of being the leader of the Battle Grim. She's not the leader of the Bloodsworn. And also, with Bjorn's betrayal, we get to see some interesting character growth, which I completely understand Bjorn's betrayal, because he was with these slavers that treated his people like property, just because of their blood. So then it's like, well, of course he's going to betray you and free his people. Like, obviously, y'all treat his people like garbage, man. Like, or just like they're just profit to you. That's all. You don't see them as people. Anyways, and then yeah, she goes in and she murders her. She returns to Snokovic after meeting Orca and them, and then she returns to Snokovic, which is where her father is, the Jarl Store. And once there, she kills her father, or she has Ulfrir eat her father alive, and then she also kills. Well, she was going to kill her brother, her older brother. She has another younger brother that she doesn't kill because he was actually not a dick to her. But yeah, and then it's the Galder woman that Jarl Store had in charge that killed her. So, and yeah, she gets, once they're both dead, her father and her older brother are dead. Apparently, because like you can inherit control of the thrall collars, so she gets full control over the berserkir that her father had. So yeah, and that's basically all that happens with her. Now Bjorn is interesting. He was the lover of Elvar, and then he betrayed the Battle Grim, and then he has an interesting kind of character growth in quotation marks in this one, because in the beginning he's kind of trying to deal with that, like, well, he's trying to deal with it by not thinking about it, but he keeps thinking about, you know, he kind of his regret for the betrayal, even though like he knows it was the right thing to do, but he feels bad for how it was handled, because like Agnar, right, he looked up to him, was like reaching out to like have him be picked up, and then he just stabbed him in the throat or something. So obviously not a good, honorable way to kill somebody, but very justifiable for like what he's done to your people. And then eventually, whenever they reach, and then we also see that he's actually also he was in some sort of relationship with, I think it's the little sister of Ilska the Cruel. I'm having a hard time remembering the little sister's name. I know it starts with an M. It doesn't matter. It's fine. Whatever. He has a very sexual relationship with her. She's the one that Orca captures and has her lead her back to the Nastradir to find her son. Anyways, So yeah, and then whenever they arrive at Nastradir, we get introduced to Rada and realize Rada is the rat god, by the way, and the god of Bjor. And we realize that he is actually still alive. He never died. So yeah, and then through that, because the gods have some sort of sway on people, so it's kind of like it's kind of weird. So under his influence, under Rada's influence, he starts kind of not regretting the betrayal, and then obviously, if you remember, Kraka, who was the Sather Witch of the Battlegrim before Uspa arrived, or was taken, I guess. She was also part of the Blood Oath, right? So she's like literally physically has to try and free Uspa's son. Bjorn? Was it Bjarn? Bjarn, I think. Bjarn. She has to try to free him, and otherwise she'll die, you know. And so she tries to leave. Bjorn kind of catches them doing so and lets them go, but has to make sure that, you know, it looks like they knocked him out or whatever. And so they leave. They're later captured. Bjarn is not harmed, really, mainly because they want to use him as a hostage for Uspa, right? And then, but Kraka needs to be killed, and they have... This is also Brak who caught them, by the way. So then he basically demands that Bjor is the one that kills her, and so he does that. Anyways, he's starting to become a lot like Rada and very much of a slime ball. So that's why it's kind of interesting to see his character. Ulfrir also had the same pull that Rada has on Bjor. It's just that she managed to not be drawn in because of her mission and her desire to save her son. Otherwise, I think she might have been influenced by Ulfrir as well. So yeah, that's Bjor. Last character is Guthvar. And Guthvar is a pathetic little piece of crap. And he is very much a coward. And he's the one that killed... well, he's not the one who killed Leif's dad, but he's the reason Leif's dad was killed. And he is the one that killed Leif's brother Mord whenever he was shackled to a wall. So anyways, Guthvar was there, obviously, at the Grimholt. Then he fled with Skulk and them. And so after that, he kind of is like recruited by Skulk, because he's kind of trying to get in with him, you know. And then, so yeah, Skulk basically gives him this mission that he's going to have to try to get closer with Queen Helka's son, Hakon, and figure out what he's actually involved in. But to do that, because obviously Skulk doesn't trust him, right? So Skulk basically makes Guthvar his slave by putting I think it's called a hinder bee. I could be wrong. I'm thinking it's hinder. That's what I'm going to stick with. But they're like little bees that, like, I say little, they're pretty big, and they like eat into your arm and then like lay eggs in your body until they hatch, and then they'll devour their way out of you. So not obviously a good way to go. But with Skulk's Galder magic, he's able to, I guess, stall the laying of eggs and can command them to leave whenever. Right? It's a very painful process, by the way. So yeah. Anyways, Guthvar kind of goes along with that mission, pretty much, and eventually uncovers. He doesn't actually really uncover much of anything. He knows that it has something to do with the dragon, Legrifa, I think, is basically all he knows. And he knows that Hakon just recently got a tattoo of said dragon on his, I think on, the side of his head. But, he has his hair over to cover it. Anyways, he gets kind of caught and has to run for it and almost gets killed before being pulled into the Galder Tower and having to confess this to both Queen Helga and Skulk. And luckily he's able to prove what he's saying is true by revealing the dragon tattoo that's on Hakon's face. So then his secret kind of gets uncovered, and then he realizes he's basically of no more use to Skulk and Queen Helga, and he's like, shit, I'm gonna frickin' die. So then he's like, I can, because they just killed the messenger, or the guy that was supposed to be the messenger, which is a brother to the another guy that was part of the Raven Feeders. Anyways, he's dead. So then Guthvar steps up and is like, I'll be the messenger. The previous messenger's dead. We can tell him he was captured and killed. And then I can get whatever information that they, what their plan is, and return and tell you what their plan is. So that way he won't be killed, right? So then Guthvar goes to Nastradir very quickly, by the way, because they kind of just... travel time's kind of just cut out of this book. But it's weird because he gets there before Orca, which I think is weird, because I'm pretty sure she was closer, unless I guess because they rode horses, I think, which I guess is faster than walking, which is what, I don't know if they had horses too. I don't know how Guthvar got there before Orca did. I'm not sure. Maybe it's because they just rode all day. I don't know, all day and night. Anyways, he gets there. He gets captured, obviously, and put to the question. He tells kind of the truth why he's there. He's there as the messenger, right? But then he meets Legrifa, and then that's pretty much all we get. Until we later cut to Darl. They're about to resurrect Orna, the eagle god. I don't know if she's an eagle or a hawk. I think she might be a hawk. It doesn't matter. She's a giant bird god, right? And she's also she's the mother of Skuld and the wife or whatever of Ulfrir. She gets raised from the dead. She also has a thrall collar put on her neck. But so Guthvar told them that Legrifa wouldn't attack for at least another 3 days. But turns out, she's there, and they're attacking that day that Orna's being revived. So Orna and Legrifa fight. Legrifa wins, and obviously, and then Skulk tries to use the Hinder inside of him to kill Guthvar, but the Hinder is no longer there, right? The Hinder bee is no longer there, because Legrifa is the creator of all Vaesen, so she could feel or sense that bee inside of him, and removed it from him, and then he told them the truth of everything, and he's now allied with the Raven Feeders and Legrifa, as well as his mother Sigrun is as well. Not his mother, his aunt. I don't think we ever meet Guthvar's parents, and it might be because they were the Jarls before, and Sigrun killed them. I don't know. But anyways, Prince Hakon and Queen Helga die. They're killed. Queen Helga got killed by Sigrun, and Prince Hakon got killed by Guthvar. But it's basically all Guthvar's fault why they're dead, right? I think, though, that Estrid, which is Queen Helga's daughter, lives, and I don't think Skulk died either. So I think they both lived, at least as far as I can tell. But yeah, that's basically Guthvar's whole story there. Okay. That was also pretty much the entire plot of the book. So whenever we discuss plot, I will mention a few other things, but other than that... Oh, never mind. I actually already told all of this. I'm pretty sure. So yeah, plot, I gave it a 7 out of 10. Because it was good. It was great. So, 7 out of 10. I think that's fair. So yeah. already discussed most of the plot, right? When talking about the characters. But that's how these stories are kind of told. They're told through the perspective of the characters, so you kind of tell the plot when talking about the characters. So, But I gave plot a 7 out of 10, anyways. I mean, I like the plot. We'll have to see, and I am excited to read this one, and see how the story ends. Obviously, now the thing is, these covers with the different gods on them, right? They seem to represent the gods that we see come alive. Because the first one was Liegrifa, and we saw her be freed at the end of the book. And then in the second one was Ulfrir. We saw Ulfrir in the book. This is either going to be Snaka or it's his sister. Because apparently he has a sister. I'm pretty sure she's in Iskadan. So it would make sense that the Bloodsworn would be able to find her. She might have actually been thralled by Yaramir as well, and that might have gone to Sulik. So I don't know. We'll see, I guess, in that book. That's just my theorizing. Anyways, I'm going to move on from that emotional impact now. There are some good scenes. I gave it a 8 out of 10 because I really liked it. Now these are all probably from later. There were some other ones that happened earlier, but I mean, like, I'm only going to mention three of them, so there's that. So first, obviously, Orca's rescue and escape is, I guess, escape in quotation marks, is fantastic. It's very tense, especially whenever, like, she's, like, kind of slowing down because of the frost spider venom, like, in her veins, and obviously her son has to leave her behind. Very nice stuff. Not nice, but you know what I'm saying. It's very entertaining, I guess. And then second, for me, anyways, was Guthar's betrayal. Obviously, we did not see. I mean, I didn't necessarily see it coming because I didn't know that she would be able to take out the Hinterthrall because I didn't know she sensed them like that. But I mean, obviously, we didn't see any of that. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a surprise. But I mean, just like, because like how it goes is that Liegrifa's there, and then Sigurd's just like, we're under attack, and she goes, protect the queen, and then literally once she gets to the queen, she just like stabs her like through the back. Very interesting one. And then lastly was the battle with Yaramir and the freeing of Vol. Was also very sick. Alright. World building, I give this an 8 out of 10. I liked it a lot, and I still think that the world building in this is actually better than the one in his Faithful in the Fallen series. The Faithful in the Fallen series. I think this world building is better, and I find it more interesting. Anyways, we got to see more of the gods be resurrected and interact with some of their children, which I thought was interesting again because we got to see some of the influence. We obviously didn't get to really see that with Liegrifa, but that's probably because we don't have a character perspective that is a Dragonborn. But yeah, and then we also got to see some of Iskadan for the world, right? And learn more about the gods, like Snaka's sister, and just the world in general. I think we saw some more Vaesen, like the Hinderbees were introduced, and some other ones. Not the frost spiders. We also learned what the giant freaking crows were, because I was just like, what? For the crows, were they ravens? I'm not sure. It hardly matters, right? But we learned that they were actually the messengers of Snaka, right? Obviously, they've been alive for a very long time, and we also know that Liegrifa didn't like them, because I think she killed like a lot of them. So yeah. We also got introduced to another tainted, like kind of tainted, with like the bull guy. So that was cool. So yeah, very nice. Lastly is structure. I gave it a 9 out of 10 because it's hard to mess up structure, right? Obviously, very chronological. We pick up right from the last book, ends here, wherever. As for narrative, for each character, there's kind of the three act structure. You had the rise, and then kind of a fall, or like / climax. Throughout all of them, as an example, I guess, for the Bloodsworn, they were all tracking Voa. That was kind of like the rise, and the fall was whenever they get to Darl, find out she's already been taken, and then you have the climax where they fight and free Vol and kill Yaramir. And then the other characters follow a fairly similar structure. With Bior, it's mainly just like his being a moral character and kind of becoming less moral throughout it. So yeah, 9 out of 10 for structure. And then yeah, that's pretty much it for this one. The final rating came out to be a 4 out of 5, which I think is pretty good. But yeah, like I said, I'm trying to be more harsh with my rating systems, because I feel like I've been just giving every book like a 4.5 or something around there. Anyways, that's gonna be it for this video. So if you enjoyed, please do subscribe. Yeah, that'll help me out a lot. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.